The maintenance bay of Station Kepler 9 smelled like oil and hot metal. Three young Vraxian warriors stood at the entrance, their golden eyes watching with confusion. They had never seen anything like this before. Taiho knelt beside an old spacecraft. The ship was ancient, its hull scarred with burn marks and dents. Any Vraxian would have thrown it away years ago, but Taiho worked on it with careful hands like it was something precious. The smallest Vraxian cub, named Threx, clicked his claws together. "Why does the human waste time on broken things?" he whispered to his siblings. His sister Vera tilted her head. "Their minds must work differently than ours." The third cub, Crawl, watched Taiho lift a damaged panel. The human's hands moved slowly, gently. Crawl had never seen anyone touch a machine that way. Taiho set the panel on his workbench. He picked up a small tool and started cleaning away the rust. Every movement was precise. Every action had purpose. He worked like a surgeon working on a living patient. A young woman entered the bay. She had dark hair tied back and wore the same gray work uniform as Taiho. She carried a container of tools. "Hana," Taiho said without looking up. "Come here. I want to show you something." Hana walked over and set down the tools. She looked at the panel Taiho was cleaning. "Is this from your grandfather's ship?" "Yes," Taiho said softly. "This panel protected the navigation system during the Battle of Proxima. See this burn mark? Enemy fire. This dent? Debris impact. Each mark tells a story." The Vraxian cubs moved closer, trying to understand. In their culture, broken things had no value. A broken weapon was replaced. A damaged ship was abandoned. Only the strong survived. Only the perfect had worth. Hana ran her fingers over the burn mark. "Your grandfather survived because this panel held?" "He survived because every part of this ship did its job," Taiho replied. "The engineers who built it put their hearts into every piece. When I fix it, I honor them. I honor my grandfather. I honor everyone who trusted this ship with their lives." Threx's ears flattened against his head. This made no sense. The ship was old. It could not fly. It could not fight. What was the point? Taiho picked up a welding torch. He adjusted the flame to the smallest setting. Then he began repairing a crack in the panel. The torch hissed. Tiny sparks flew. Taiho's hands never shook. "You must be patient with old things," Taiho told Hana. "Modern metals are easy to weld, but this alloy is from 70 years ago. Different composition, different melting point. You cannot rush it." Hana watched carefully. "Why not just replace the panel with a new one?" Taiho smiled. "I could. It would be easier, faster. But this panel has history. It has meaning. My grandfather touched this metal. His hands held this panel when he flew through asteroid fields and plasma storms. When I restore it, I keep that connection alive." The cubs looked at each other. Vera's tail twitched with uncertainty. "Connection?" she whispered. "To what?" Crawl watched Taiho work for several more minutes. The human never got frustrated. He never hurried. When the weld was complete, Taiho set down his torch and examined his work. He nodded with satisfaction. "Good," Taiho said. "Tomorrow we will work on the power couplings. Those will be harder." Hana smiled. "You have been working on this ship for 2 years now." "Yes," Taiho agreed. "And I will work on it for 2 more if needed. Maybe 3. This ship carried my grandfather through 6 battles. It brought him home to his family. It deserves my time. It deserves my care." Threx could not stay quiet anymore. He stepped forward, his claws clicking on the metal floor. Taiho looked up, surprised to see the young Vraxians. "Human," Threx said in halting standard language. "Why you fix old ship? Ship is broken. Ship cannot fight. Why not get new ship?" Taiho stood up and faced the young warrior. He was not afraid, even though Threx was already larger than him. "This ship can fight again when I finish, but that is not why I fix it," Then why? Vera asked, stepping forward as well. Taiho looked at the old spacecraft. His expression became distant, sad, and happy all at once. I fix it because I love it, and humans fix what they love. The three cubs stared at him. Love? For a machine? This was beyond their understanding. Taiho walked to the ship and placed his hand on the hull. My grandfather died 5 years ago. I never got to tell him goodbye. He was on a mission in deep space when his heart stopped. But this ship is a piece of him. When I touch it, I feel close to him. When I repair it, I keep his memory alive. Hana wiped her eyes. She had heard this story before, but it still moved her. In your culture, Taiho continued, looking at the cubs, you honor your warriors with songs and ceremonies. That is beautiful. But humans, we honor our loved ones by preserving what they left behind. This ship is not just metal and circuits. It is love made solid. It is memory given form. Crawl moved closer to the ship. He reached out one claw and touched the hull gently, carefully, like he was afraid to damage it. The metal was cold and rough under his touch. My father's blade broke in battle, Crawl said quietly. I threw it away. Our laws say broken things have no honor. Taiho looked at the young Vraxian with kind eyes. Your laws are different from ours. But tell me, do you miss that blade? Crowl's golden eyes widened. Yes, he admitted. Every day. Then perhaps it was not the blade that had no honor, Taiho said gently. Perhaps it was the law that needed fixing. The cubs stood in silence. Around them, the maintenance bay hummed with quiet machinery. Other workers moved in the distance, fixing other ships, repairing other machines. Everywhere Threx looked, he saw humans working on old things with the same care Taiho showed. I do not understand, Threx said finally. But I want to. Taiho smiled. That is a good start. Come back tomorrow. Watch me work on the power couplings. Maybe understanding will come. The three young Vraxians left the maintenance bay. But they would return. Something had shifted in their minds. Something new and strange had taken root. Behind them, Taiho returned to his work. Hana picked up a tool and helped him. Together, they continued fixing the old ship piece by piece, weld by weld, honoring the past by preserving it for the future. The ship would fly again, but more importantly, it would remind everyone who saw it that some things are worth saving. Some things deserve love, and humans would always fix what they loved, no matter how long it took. The medical bay was quieter than the maintenance area. Threx, Vera, and Crawl walked through the clean white corridors, their claws making soft sounds on the floor. They had spent 3 days watching Taiho work, 3 days of confusion. Today they had different questions, questions that needed different answers. Dr. Nari looked up from her desk when the 3 young Vraxians entered. She was small for a human with gray streaks in her black hair. Her eyes were warm and curious. Hello, she said in perfect Vraxian tongue. Are you injured? Threx shook his head. No, doctor. We come with questions. Nari smiled and set down her medical tablet. I like questions. Please sit. The cubs sat on the floor. Vraxian bodies were not made for human chairs. Nari came around her desk and sat on the floor with them, crossing her legs. This surprised the cubs. No adult in their world would sit on the floor with younglings. What troubles you? Nari asked. Vera spoke first. We watch the human Taiho. He fixes old ship. Very old. Many days of work. We do not understand. Why humans waste time on broken things? Nari nodded slowly. You think fixing old things is a waste of time? Yes, Crawl said. Broken things should be discarded. New things are better, stronger. This is our way. That is a practical way, Nari agreed. Efficient. But humans are not always practical. We value other things. What things? Threx asked. Nari held up her left wrist. She wore a watch. It was old-fashioned, mechanical, not digital. The metal case was scratched and worn, but it ticked steadily, keeping perfect time. "This watch belonged to my grandmother," Nari said softly. "She received it on her 18th birthday, 207 years ago. She wore it every day of her life. When she died, she left it to my mother. My mother wore it for 60 years. When she died, she left it to me." The cubs leaned closer. The watch was tiny, delicate. How had it survived so long? "It has broken many times," Nari continued. "The spring broke once. The crystal cracked twice. The band had to be replaced 4 times. Each time we fixed it. We could have bought a new watch, a better watch, a watch with more functions. But we did not." "Why not?" Vera asked, genuinely confused. Nari unclasped the watch and held it in her palm. "Because this watch is not just a tool for telling time. It is a connection to the women in my family. When I wear it, I carry my grandmother with me. I carry my mother with me. Their love, their strength, their memories, all here in this small circle of metal and gears." Kral reached out one claw, then hesitated. "May I hold it?" "Of course," Nari said, placing the watch in his large palm. Kral held the watch carefully, as if it might break. It looked impossibly small in his clawed hand. He felt the weight of it. So light, so fragile, yet humans had kept it alive for 2 centuries. "My people honor warriors," Kral said quietly. "We sing songs of their battles. We carve their names in stone. But when they die, their possessions are burned, clean, final. Your way is different." "Yes," Nari agreed. "We keep things. Sometimes too many things. But the objects we truly love, we preserve. We repair. We pass down through generations." Threx watched his brother hold the watch. "Do you fight with this watch?" he asked Nari. Nari laughed. "No, it does not make me stronger. It does not help me in battle, but it helps me remember who I am, where I came from, the women who made me possible." Vera's tail moved slowly back and forth. She was thinking hard. "In Maintenance Bay, we see many humans fixing old things. Not just Taiho, many humans, all fixing broken machines, old tools, damaged equipment. This is normal for your kind?" "Very normal," Nari confirmed. "There is even a word for it in one of our old languages. Kintsugi. It means fixing broken pottery with gold. The repair becomes part of the object's beauty. The breaks and fixes tell the story of the object's life." "You fix things with gold?" Kral asked, surprised. "That is valuable metal." "Exactly," Nari said. "We use gold to show that the broken thing is valuable enough to deserve the best repair. The repair is not hidden, it is celebrated." This concept made Threx's head hurt. In Vraxian culture, perfection was everything. A crack was a weakness. A repair was a sign of failure. But humans seemed to think the opposite. "You're warriors," Nari said, looking at each cub in turn. "They carry weapons into battle, yes?" "Yes," all 3 cubs said together. "And when a warrior dies, the weapon is destroyed?" "Yes," Threx confirmed. "The weapon's purpose is finished. It is released." Nari nodded. "I understand. That makes sense for your people. But for humans, we believe the weapon carries the warrior's spirit. If we preserve the weapon, we preserve the warrior. Not their body, but their courage, their skill, their love for their family and people." She gestured to a wall in her office. The cubs had not noticed before, but there was a frame hanging there. Inside the frame was an old knife. The blade was scratched and pitted. The handle was worn smooth. "My grandfather's combat knife," Nari explained. "He was a soldier. He fought in 3 wars. He saved 17 lives with this knife, cutting people free from wreckage, opening medical supplies, cutting ropes when ships were sinking. He never killed anyone with it, only saved. Vera stood and walked to the frame. She examined the knife closely. It is very old. 193 years old, Nari said. The blade has been sharpened so many times it is half its original width. The handle has been rewrapped 6 times, but it is the same knife, the knife that saved 17 lives. Why not use it? Crawl asked. Why put it on wall? Because it has done its work, Nari said. Now it teaches. Everyone who sees it learns about my grandfather, about the importance of saving lives, about being a protector, not just a warrior. Threx stood as well. He walked to Nari's desk. On the desk was a picture frame. The photo showed a young woman in a medical uniform. She looked like Nari, but younger. Your daughter? Threx guessed. My grandmother, Nari corrected. This photo is 200 years old. She was 23 years old then, about to graduate from medical school. The cubs stared. The image was so clear, so preserved. We save images too, Nari continued, and letters, and recordings of voices, and children's drawings, and wedding rings, and birthday cards. Humans save everything that connects us to the people we love. Even when they are gone? Vera asked. Especially when they are gone, Nari said gently. When someone we love dies, we cannot bring them back, but we can keep pieces of them alive. Their favorite chair, their cooking pot, their tools, their books. Each object holds memories, and memories keep love alive. Crawl handed the watch back to Nari. She clasped it around her wrist again. The familiar weight settled against her skin. She had worn it every day for 32 years. She would wear it until she died. Then someone else would wear it. The chain would continue. I begin to understand, Crawl said slowly, but I also feel sad. I think of my father's blade, the blade I threw away. I did not know I was allowed to keep it, to honor it. Nari's expression softened. Your culture's way is not wrong, Crawl. It is just different. Both ways honor the dead. Your way releases them. Our way holds them close. Neither is better. But I wish I had kept the blade, Crawl whispered. The room was quiet for a long moment. Threx and Vera looked at their brother. They had never heard such emotion in his voice. Finally, Nari spoke. Tell me about the blade. And Crawl did. He described the blade's shape, its weight, its balance. He described how his father had carried it for 40 years, how it had been his father's father's blade before that, how the edge had been sharpened 10,000 times, how the grip had been wrapped with leather from the first hunt. As Crawl spoke, Threx and Vera listened. They began to understand something new. The blade was not just a weapon. It was a story. It was a connection. It was love. Perhaps, Nari said when Crawl finished, someone found the blade. Perhaps it is not truly gone. But they all knew that was unlikely. Discarded weapons on Vraxian ships were melted down immediately, recycled, turned into new things. The cubs left the medical bay with heavy hearts but fuller minds. They were beginning to see the world differently, beginning to understand that fixing things, keeping things, preserving things, these were not wastes of time. These were acts of love, and humans fixed what they loved. The training hall echoed with the sounds of combat. Threx moved through the practice forms his teachers had taught him since he was small. His ceremonial blade sang through the air. The blade had been a gift for his 13th hatching day. His mother had presented it to him in front of the entire clan. Vera and Crawl watched from the side of the room. They had been on Station Kepler 9 for 2 weeks now. 2 weeks of watching humans fix things. 2 weeks of questions and confusion and slowly growing understanding. Threx completed the 7th form and moved into the 8th. This form was difficult. It required the warrior to spin and strike in one motion. Threx had practiced it 1,000 times. He spun. The blade came around, but his foot slipped on the smooth floor. His weight shifted wrong. The blade hit the training post at a bad angle. The sound was terrible, a sharp crack that echoed through the hall. Threx stopped moving. His blade, his ceremonial blade, lay on the floor in 3 pieces. The main piece, the tip, and a section from the middle. The blade that had been whole and perfect was now broken beyond recognition. "No," Threx whispered. "No, no, no." Vera and Crowl rushed to his side. They stared at the broken pieces. In Vraxian culture, this was more than an accident. This was a sign. A broken ceremonial blade meant dishonor. It meant the warrior was not ready. It meant shame. "I must dispose of it," Threx said, his voice hollow. "The laws are clear. Broken blades must be destroyed before sunset." He reached down to gather the pieces. His hands shook. This blade had been perfect. His mother had spent months choosing the right metal, the right craftsman, the right balance, and he had destroyed it in one careless moment. "Wait!" said a voice from the doorway. All 3 cubs turned. A human stood there. He was tall and broad-shouldered, wearing the gray coveralls of a station mechanic. His name tag read, Jinwoo. "I am sorry," Threx said stiffly. "I did not know humans used this training hall." "I don't," Jinwoo said, walking closer. "I was passing by. I heard the break. That sounded like good metal." He knelt next to the broken blade pieces. He did not touch them without permission. He just looked. "May I?" Jinwoo asked, gesturing to the pieces. Threx nodded, too numb to speak. Jinwoo picked up each piece carefully. He examined the breakpoints. He held the blade up to the light. He ran his thumb along the edge. Then he nodded to himself. "This is excellent craftsmanship," Jinwoo said. "Whoever made this knew their work. The metal composition is beautiful. The balance is perfect. And these breaks, these can be fixed." "No," Threx said immediately. "Broken blades cannot be fixed. They must be destroyed. It is our law." Jinwoo looked up at the young Vraxian. "It is your law on your ships, but here on the station, you follow station law. And station law says you can do whatever you want with your own property." Threx's mouth opened, then closed. He had not thought of that. "But even if I could fix it," Threx said slowly, "why would I? It is broken. It has failed. I have failed." "The blade did not fail," Jinwoo said firmly. "You slipped. The floor is slippery. That is not the blade's fault. That is not your fault. It is just an accident." He stood up, still holding the pieces. "Let me ask you something. Do you love this blade?" The question caught Threx off guard. "Love? It is a weapon, a tool." "That is not what I asked," Jinwoo said patiently. "Do you love it? Does it mean something to you?" Threx thought of his mother's face when she gave him the blade. He thought of the pride in her eyes. He thought of every morning he spent polishing it. Every night he spent practicing with it. He thought of how it felt in his hand, perfectly balanced, like an extension of his own arm. "Yes," Threx admitted quietly. "I love it." "Then we fix it," Jinwoo said simply. "Humans fix what they love." Vera stepped forward. "We have heard this before, from Taiho, from Dr. Nari, but we do not understand. How can fixing a broken thing bring honor?" Jinwoo smiled. "Let me show you. Come to my workshop. All of you." The 3 cubs followed Jinwoo through the station corridors. His workshop was small but organized. Tools hung on every wall. Half-finished projects covered the workbenches. The smell of metal and oil filled the air. Jinwoo cleared a space on his main workbench. He set the 3 pieces of the blade down carefully. Then he turned on a bright light and pulled over a magnifying glass. "First, we examine the damage," Jinwoo explained. "We understand what broke and why. We do not rush. We do not guess. We look and we learn." He studied each piece for a long time. The cubs watched in silence. Finally, Jinwoo nodded. "The breaks are clean," he said. This is good. Clean breaks are easier to repair than ragged ones. And the metal is high quality. It wants to be whole again. Metal wants? Crawl asked, confused. A figure of speech, Jinwoo said, but also true in a way. Good metal has memory. It remembers its shape. When we weld it back together, it will remember being whole. He pulled out several tools, a welding setup, clamps, fine files, polishing compounds. He arranged everything in precise order. Now we prepare, Jinwoo said. Preparation is half the work, maybe more than half. If we prepare well, the repair will be strong. He cleaned each break surface. He used files to make them perfectly flat. He measured the angles. He tested how the pieces fit together. Every action was careful and deliberate. Threx watched with growing fascination. This was not simple repair work. This was art. Why do you take so much time? Threx asked. Could you not just weld the pieces together quickly? I could, Jinwoo agreed. But the repair would be weak. It would break again at the first hard blow. No, if we do this, we do it right. We make the blade stronger than it was before. Stronger? Vera asked. How can broken be stronger than whole? Jinwoo picked up a small rod of metal. This is a special alloy, very strong, very flexible. I will use it as a filler when I weld. The weld line will be stronger than the original metal. The blade will never break in the same place again. He put on protective goggles and handed sets to the cubs. They put them on awkwardly. The goggles were made for human faces, not Vraxian ones. Watch carefully, Jinwoo said. This is where the magic happens. He lit the welding torch. The flame was tiny, precise. He held the first two pieces of the blade together with clamps. Then, slowly, he began to weld. The filler rod melted. It flowed into the break. Metal fused to metal. The two pieces became one. Threx's heart beat faster. He could see it happening. See the blade coming back together. It was like watching something dead come back to life. Jinwoo finished the first weld. He let it cool. Then he started on the second break. The same careful process, the same precision, the same care. When both welds were complete, Jinwoo turned off the torch. He removed his goggles and smiled at the blade. Now we wait for it to cool, he said. Then we file the welds smooth. Then we polish, then we sharpen. The whole process will take 3 days. 3 days? Threx repeated. For one blade? For your blade, Jinwoo corrected. For something that matters. 3 days is nothing. He looked at Threx seriously. You know what the best part is? The weld lines will show. Even after polishing, you will be able to see where the blade broke. Some people would hide that, cover it with paint or plating, but I think we should let it show. Let everyone see that this blade broke and was repaired. Let them see that it survived. Crawl moved closer to the blade. Even partially repaired, he could see the weld lines. They caught the light differently than the rest of the metal. In my culture, Crawl said softly, we would see those lines as flaws, as weakness. In my culture, Jinwoo replied, we see them as proof of strength. Your blade broke, that is true. But you loved it enough to fix it. That takes courage. And now the blade has a story. Before it was just a blade. Now it is a blade that survived. That is more valuable, not less. Threx felt something shift inside him. All his life, he had been taught that perfection was everything. Flaws were shameful. Weakness was unacceptable. But Jinwoo was saying something different. He was saying that surviving was its own kind of strength. I understand now, Threx said quietly. When you fix something, you are not just repairing metal. You are saying that the thing matters, that it deserves to continue, that its story is not over. Exactly, Jinwoo said, smiling. You understand. Vera and Crawl looked at each other. They understood too. Come back in 3 days, Jinwoo told Threx. Your blade will be ready, and it will be stronger than ever. The 3 cubs left the workshop. but something had changed in all of them. They had seen a human take something broken and make it whole. Not just whole, better, stronger, more meaningful. That night, Crawl could not sleep. He kept thinking about his father's blade, the blade he had thrown away. He wondered if there was any chance, any small possibility, that it could be recovered, that it could be fixed. He decided he would ask. The humans might say no, but maybe, just maybe, they would say yes. Maybe it was not too late to fix what he loved. 3 days passed. Threx returned to Jinwoo's workshop. His blade lay on a cloth on the workbench. It gleamed in the light. Threx picked it up with trembling hands. The blade was perfect. The balance was exactly as he remembered. The edge was sharp enough to cut air, but there, running along the metal, were 2 silver lines. The weld marks, the proof of repair. "It is beautiful," Threx whispered. "It is yours," Jinwoo said. "Take care of it. And remember, those lines are not scars. They are proof that you cared enough to fix what broke." Threx bowed deeply, a gesture of respect in both Vraxian and human culture. "Thank you." When he returned to the quarters he shared with Vera and Crawl, his siblings were waiting. Crawl was pacing nervously. Vera sat very still, which meant she was thinking hard. "Our teachers have sent word," Vera said. "We are to return to the home fleet tomorrow. Our learning rotation is complete." Threx's heart sank. Tomorrow. So soon. There was still so much to learn, so much to understand. "We must tell them," Crawl said suddenly. "We must tell the fleet what we have learned here." "They will not listen," Vera said. "We are cubs. Our words carry little weight." "We must try," Threx insisted. He held up his blade, showing the weld lines. "We must show them that broken things can be fixed, that love is stronger than perfection." The journey back to the Vraxian home fleet took 4 days. During that time, the 3 cubs talked for hours. They planned what they would say, how they would explain. They knew it would be difficult. Their people had followed the same traditions for thousands of years. Change did not come easily. The home fleet was impressive, hundreds of ships moving in perfect formation. The flagship was the size of a small moon. Threx, Vera, and Crawl's transport docked in the main bay. Their teachers were waiting, senior warriors with scars and honors. They looked at the 3 cubs with stern expressions. "Report," the lead teacher commanded. For a moment, none of the cubs spoke. Then Threx stepped forward. He held his blade before him. "I learned that humans fix what they love," Threx said clearly. "And I learned that we have been wrong." The silence that followed was heavy, dangerous. One did not tell the teachers they were wrong. One did not question tradition. But Threx continued. "My ceremonial blade broke during training. I was going to destroy it as the law requires, but a human mechanic named Jinwoo offered to repair it. I let him, and I learned something important." He showed the blade to the teachers, showed the weld lines. "This blade is not weaker for having broken," Threx said. "It is stronger. The weld material is more durable than the original metal. It will never break in the same place again. And more than that, this blade now has meaning. It has a story. It is not just a blade. It is my blade. The blade I loved enough to save." One of the teachers, an old warrior named Draxon, stepped forward. He took the blade and examined it closely. He tested the balance. He looked at the weld lines. Finally, he spoke. "This is fine work," Draxon admitted, "but it contradicts our laws. Broken blades must be destroyed." "Why?" Vera asked, stepping forward to stand beside her brother. "Why must they be destroyed? What is the reason for this law?" Draxon's eyes narrowed. "Because broken things are weak. They have failed. We must be strong." "But is survival not a form of strength?" Crawl asked, joining his siblings. "This blade survived. It broke, yes, But it was repaired. It endured. Is that not the greatest strength of all? The teachers looked at each other. This was not the report they had expected. The humans taught us something, Threx continued. They taught us that love makes things worth preserving. They fix old ships that can no longer fight. They keep old tools that are no longer the best. They save broken things and make them whole again. And they do this because each thing carries memory. Each thing tells a story. Each thing connects them to their past, to their loved ones, to their history. He paused, then spoke the words that had been growing in his heart for days. I threw away my father's blade, Crawl said, his voice breaking. I followed the law. I destroyed it. And every day since I have regretted it. That blade was the last thing I had of my father, and I melted it down because the law said I must. Draxon's expression softened slightly. Your father was a great warrior. Then his blade deserved to be preserved, Crawl said firmly. It deserved to be honored, not destroyed. Vera spoke up. We met a human doctor. She showed us a watch that was 200 years old. It had been worn by her grandmother, then her mother, then her. It had broken many times. Each time they fixed it. Because it was not just a watch. It was a connection to their family, a way of keeping their loved ones close. We do not need watches to remember our ancestors, Draxon said. We have songs. We have ceremonies. Yes, Threx agreed. And those are beautiful. But what if we could have both? What if we could sing the songs and keep the blades? What if we could honor our warriors in our hearts and in our hands? The teachers stood in silence. Around them, other warriors had gathered. Word was spreading through the ship. The cubs were challenging the old ways. The cubs were speaking of change. An elderly warrior pushed through the crowd. Her name was Sarex. She was one of the oldest Vraxians alive. Her scales were pale with age, but her eyes were sharp. Tell me more about these humans, Sarex said. Tell me everything. So the cubs did. They told of Taiho and his grandfather's ship. They told of Nari and her grandmother's watch. They told of Jinwu and his careful, patient work. They told of all the humans they had seen, fixing old things, preserving broken things, loving things enough to save them. Sarex listened to every word. When they finished, she was quiet for a long time. My mate died 60 years ago, Sarex finally said. His blade was destroyed as the law required. I have nothing of his except memories, and memories fade. If I had his blade, I could hold it. I could remember his grip on the handle. I could remember the weight of it. I could remember him. She looked at the teachers. Perhaps the cubs are right. Perhaps our law serves no one. Draxon shook his head. Change is dangerous. Tradition keeps us strong. Tradition keeps us the same, Sarex corrected. Strength comes from adapting, from learning, from growing. Arguments broke out among the gathered warriors. Some agreed with the teachers, some agreed with the cubs and Sarex. Voices rose, debates grew heated. But something had started. A seed had been planted. That night, Threx could not sleep. He lay in his quarters, holding his repaired blade. He thought about all the warriors who had destroyed cherished weapons because the law demanded it. All the connections that had been lost, all the stories that had ended. The door opened. Vera and Crawl entered quietly. I cannot stop thinking about it, Vera said. About all the things we have destroyed, all the meaning we have lost. We can change it, Crawl said. We can make them understand. Can we? Threx asked. We are just cubs. Who will listen to us? Sarex listened, Vera pointed out. And others. The idea is spreading. People are talking, questioning. Over the following days, more warriors came to speak with the cubs. They asked about the humans, about their ways of fixing things, about preservation and memory and love. Crawl showed them pictures that Nari had given him, pictures of human artifacts. Ancient tools still in use, old weapons displayed with honor, broken pottery repaired with gold. Slowly, minds began to change. A warrior named Theron brought his mother's broken necklace to Crawl. "Can the humans fix this?" he asked. Crawl did not know, but he wanted to find out. A young female named Vex showed Threx a shattered family crest. "I was going to destroy it," she said, "but after hearing your story, I could not. Is it too late to save it?" Threx looked at the broken pieces. He thought of Jinwoo. "It is never too late to save what you love." More came, each with a broken treasure, each with something they had not been able to destroy, each hoping that maybe, just maybe, there was another way. "We need to go back to the humans," Vera said. "We need to ask for their help." "Will they help us?" Crawl wondered. "We are not their people." Threx thought of Taeho's kind eyes, of Nari's gentle wisdom, of Jinwoo's patient hands. They will help, because that is what humans do. They fix what is broken. They preserve what is loved. They help those who ask. The three cubs went to the Council of Elders. They requested permission to return to Station Kepler 9. They requested permission to bring others with them, others with broken things that needed fixing. The council debated for hours. Finally, they agreed. But only a small group, a test, to see if this human way could work for Vraxians. 20 warriors volunteered. Each brought something broken, something precious, something they could not bear to destroy. As they prepared to depart, Sarex approached Threx. She pressed something into his hand, a broken blade, old, worn, beautiful. "My mate's blade," she said quietly. "I could not destroy it. I hid it for 60 years. If the humans can fix it, I will hold a piece of him again." Threx closed his hand around the broken blade. "I will ask them," he promised. The transport ship left the fleet heading back to human space, back to Station Kepler 9, back to the people who fixed what they loved, and perhaps, Threx thought, back to a new way of being, a way that honored both strength and love, both tradition and preservation, both the warrior's courage and the repairer's care. The future was uncertain, but for the first time in his life, Threx felt hope that broken things, broken blades, broken hearts, broken traditions, could all be made whole again. The message arrived at Station Kepler 9 3 days before the ships did. Hana was working with Taeho on the old spacecraft when the station commander's voice came through the communication system. All personnel were to report to the main briefing room immediately. The briefing room was packed. Taeho and Hana squeezed in near the back. Jinwoo was already there, along with Nari and dozens of other station workers. The commander stood at the front, looking at a display screen. "We have received an unusual request from the Vraxian home fleet," the commander announced. "They are sending ships here, multiple ships. They wish to dock and meet with our maintenance and repair crews." Murmurs filled the room. The Vraxians rarely initiated contact. Their species was proud and independent. They did not ask for help. "The message says they are bringing items that need repair," the commander continued. "Personal items, family heirlooms, broken objects of significance." Taeho and Jinwoo exchanged glances. They knew exactly what this was about. "The three cubs," Jinwoo said quietly. "They went home and told others." The commander heard him. "Mechanic Jinwoo, can you explain?" Jinwoo stood and described his encounter with Threx, how the young Vraxian's ceremonial blade had broken, how he had repaired it, how the cub had seemed to understand something important. Nari stood as well. "I spoke with the cubs, too, about preservation, about keeping objects that connect us to loved ones. They were very interested in our ways." The commander nodded slowly. "So they have come to us for help, to learn how to repair what is broken, to preserve what is precious. "How many ships are coming?" someone asked. The commander checked the display. "The initial message said 20 warriors, but we are now detecting over 2,000 Vraxian vessels heading in this direction, and the number keeps growing." The room fell silent. 2,000 ships. That was not a small delegation. That was a fleet. "Are they armed?" another person asked nervously. "Yes," the commander said, "but they have sent assurances of peaceful intent. They say they come not to fight, but to learn, to have us fix what they love." Taiho felt something warm spread through his chest. This was incredible. An entire species reconsidering their traditions because 3 young cubs had learned a different way. "What are your orders, Commander?" Jinwoo asked. The commander smiled. "We do what we do best. We help, we repair, we teach. Everyone with maintenance or repair experience, start preparing your workshops. We are about to get very busy." The fleet arrived 2 days later. The first ship to dock was small, carrying Threx, Vera, Kral, and 17 other young warriors. Taiho, Jinwoo, and Nari met them at the airlock. Threx stepped forward. In his hands, he carried something wrapped in cloth. He unwrapped it carefully, revealing Sarex's broken blade. "My elder asks if you can fix this," Threx said. "It belonged to her mate. She has kept it hidden for 60 years, unable to destroy it as the law required." Jinwoo took the blade with reverent hands. He examined it carefully. The blade was old, very old. The break was clean, but the metal had started to corrode at the edges. It would need careful work. "I can fix it," Jinwoo said. "It will take time, maybe a week. But yes, I can make it whole again." Threx's eyes brightened with relief. "Thank you." Behind him, the other young warriors stepped forward. Each carried something broken: necklaces, tools, small statues, ornamental weapons, family crests, each item wrapped carefully, each item precious. "We have more coming," Vera said quietly. "Many more." She was right. Over the next 3 days, Vraxian ships continued to arrive. Each ship carried warriors. Each warrior carried broken treasures. Things they had been unable to destroy. Things they had hidden in secret storage. Things they had kept despite the law. The station's repair bays filled quickly. Taiho cleared his entire workshop to make room. Other human technicians did the same. Soon, broken Vraxian artifacts covered every available surface. Jinwoo organized the work crews. He created a system for cataloging each item. Each piece was photographed and tagged. Each warrior told the story of their broken treasure, where it came from, who had owned it, why it mattered. These stories were recorded, preserved, because the humans understood that the stories were as important as the repairs. Nari set up a medical bay specifically for teaching Vraxians about human preservation techniques. She showed them photos of restored artifacts from Earth, ancient pottery, medieval swords, colonial-era tools, each piece carefully repaired and displayed with honor. The Vraxians listened with hungry attention. This was so different from their way, but it felt right. It felt like something they had been missing without knowing it. Hana worked alongside Taiho, learning as she taught. A young Vraxian female named Sora asked to apprentice with them. She wanted to learn metalwork. She wanted to be able to fix broken blades herself, not rely on others. "Of course," Taiho said. "I will teach you everything I know." In Jinwoo's workshop, Kral watched the master mechanic work on Sarex's blade. Every step was explained, every technique demonstrated. Kral took notes in his own language, filling page after page. "When I return to my fleet," Kral said, "I want to set up a workshop like yours, a place where broken things come to be healed." "Healed," Jinwoo repeated, smiling. "That is a good word for it. Yes, that is exactly what we do. We heal objects the way doctors heal bodies." More ships arrived. The number grew from thousands to tens of thousands. The station commander had to set up a rotation system. Only so many ships could dock at once. The others waited in orbit, patient and hopeful. The broken items kept coming, and with them, stories. Stories of love and loss, stories of warriors who had died, stories of families separated, stories of traditions ending and new ones beginning. One elderly Vraxian brought a small music box. It had belonged to his daughter. She had died young, over 100 years ago. The music box had broken when she was still alive. He had never been able to bring himself to destroy it, even though the law said he should. "Can you make it play again?" he asked Nari, his voice shaking. Nari examined the delicate mechanism. It was corroded and stiff with age, but the basic structure was intact. "Yes," she said gently. "I can make it play." She worked on it for 2 days, cleaning, lubricating, replacing one tiny spring that had snapped. Finally, she wound the key. The music box played, a simple, beautiful melody. The old Vraxian's eyes filled with tears. He had not heard that sound in over a century. "My daughter loved this song," he whispered. "Thank you. Thank you for giving her back to me." Stories like this played out across the station. A repaired necklace that reunited a warrior with memories of his mother. A fixed statue that carried 3 generations of family history. A restored tool that had built the first Vraxian colony ship. Each repair was an act of love. Each restoration was a bridge between past and present. Threx worked in the workshops during the day and walked the station corridors at night. He saw his people changing, saw them smiling more, talking about their families more, sharing stories instead of battle tactics. One night, he found Vera standing by a window, looking out at the Vraxian fleet in orbit. Thousands of ships, more arriving every day. "We started this," Vera said quietly. "We 3 cubs. And now look." "We showed them a different way," Threx agreed. "But they chose to follow it. That is the important part. They chose love over law." Crawl joined them at the window. "I received a message from the Council of Elders. They want to establish a permanent repair facility. A place where Vraxians can learn human preservation techniques. They are asking if humans would help build it." Threx turned to look at his brother. "What did you tell them?" "I told them I would ask," Crawl said. "But I think I know what the humans will say. They will say yes, because humans help, because humans teach, because humans understand that fixing broken things is not just about the objects. It is about the hearts that love them." The next morning, Jinwoo completed his work on Sarex's blade. It was beautiful. The weld lines showed clearly, running along the metal like silver rivers. But the blade was whole, strong, ready to be held again. He sent a message to Threx. "The blade is ready." Threx came immediately. He brought Sarex with him. The old warrior had traveled on one of the later ships, unable to stay away once she knew her mate's blade might be saved. Jinwoo presented the blade to her with both hands, the way important gifts were given in both human and Vraxian cultures. Sarex took the blade. Her hands trembled. She ran her fingers over the weld lines. Over the handle her mate had held for 40 years. Over the edge he had sharpened 10,000 times. "I can feel him," she whispered. "After 60 years of nothing but memory, I can feel him again." She looked at Jinwoo with tears streaming down her scaled face. "How can I thank you?" "You just did," Jinwoo said softly. That moment was witnessed by dozens of Vraxians and humans. It spread through the station, then through the fleet. The story of an old warrior reunited with her lost love through a repaired blade. More messages went back to the Vraxian home fleet. More ships prepared to come. Not just with broken items now, but with questions, with requests to learn, with offers of cultural exchange. The humans welcomed them all. Hana stood with Taiho in his workshop. The old spacecraft he had been restoring was nearly complete. It gleamed with polish and care. "When I started working on the ship," Taiho said, "I did it for my grandfather, for my family. I did not think anyone else would care." "But they do care," Hana said. "The Vraxians see this ship and they understand. They see that preservation is not weakness, it is strength. The strength to hold on to what matters." Taiho nodded. "We have given them a gift, not just repaired objects, but a new way of seeing, a way that honors both the past and the future." Outside the workshop, Vraxian warriors worked alongside human technicians, learning, teaching, sharing. The barriers between species fell away in the shared work of restoration. Threk sat in a quiet corner, polishing his blade, the blade that had broken, the blade that had been healed. He looked at the weld lines and smiled. These lines were not flaws, they were proof. Proof that broken things could be made whole. Proof that love was stronger than perfection. Proof that the humans had been right all along. Humans fixed what they loved, and now the Vraxians would too. The fleet had come with broken treasures. They would leave with repaired heirlooms. But more than that, they would leave with a new tradition, a tradition of preservation, of memory, of love. The predator cubs had said, "Humans fix what they love," and the fleet had brought what they longed for, the return of connections they thought were lost forever. In workshops across the station, human hands and Vraxian claws worked together, piecing together not just broken objects, but a shared future built on understanding, respect, and the simple truth that some things are too precious to ever let go.